Hey everybody, welcome back. We are back again. San Diego Comic-Con 2018 International Friday Review. This is Chris. With me,
and Jason.
There it is. He's so excited he couldn't even wait. There it is with Jason.
Yeah,
with Jason today. The main reason for that is obviously one of the biggest, and depending on who you are, the biggest topic today is The Walking Dead, as it tends to be every year for a lot of people. No different today. One of the biggest things that happened today. Two panels that a lot of people were looking forward to for The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead. That is going to be the main topic for tonight. As Jason and I usually cover as much as we can for the shows. So we're going to talk about a couple other things as well, a couple other highlights from today. We're going to hold off a lot of the news that came out today until tomorrow, though, when Ian returns, and we'll have Isaac, and the three of us are just going to go nuts on all the news that has come out and all the crazy things that we've seen today and tomorrow. All right, so Jason, how much do you pay attention to Comic-Con normally?
Usually not that much. I'll watch like the highlight reel on YouTube once the whole thing's over, but that's pretty much my exposure to Comic-Con. I've never attended any sort of major convention.
Okay, so you don't really look for the panels and stuff. You don't geek out. This is like geek Christmas right now.
Yeah, and much as I would like to think of myself as a geek, I definitely fall into the more casual category when it comes to this kind of stuff. Like, I'll get excited about it, but I'll find out about stuff after everyone else has, because like I said, I usually find out through like YouTube highlights or whatever.
Sure. Well, that's all right. We're introducing you to a new world. That's you take them as they come. I know Ian did not pay attention to this stuff as much as he does now, ever since we started the YouTube channel. So it's fun. I mean, I'm obviously a big nerd for all this stuff. But in particular, I'm a huge nerd for The Walking Dead. We've talked about this on our review show many times. I am a fan of the comic. I have been a fan of the show since the show premiered. So that's going to be... No, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the TV show. I picked up like a couple of the comics at like old comic book stores around the area, and they look pretty good. I'm like shockingly more graphic than the TV show, which I was not expecting.
Oh yes. No, the Walking Dead comic it does basically whatever the hell it wants, and there's whole stories that we could go into about that. But before we go into the Walking Dead, let's talk about a couple of the other big things that came out today at Comic-Con. And the first thing, and I knew you would have been a fan of this, so I wanted to make sure we talked about it. And that was Young Justice. It ended very abruptly after 2 seasons. Why? Because, Jason, I don't know if you're aware or not, but cartoons aren't really about putting out cartoons. They're about selling toys.
Yeah, that does seem to be the issue.
Well, and that was the thing. The Young Justice was, despite its ratings, was canceled because it wasn't selling enough toys. And, the show, the first 2 seasons, has been making the rounds on the internet and on streaming. Netflix, for sure, definitely got a huge following on Netflix. And, I'm not sure when this happened, because the last I had heard about Season 3 was that Netflix was going to have Season 3. That's not the case anymore. It's going to be on the new DC Universe streaming station. Yeah,
they've got a couple of those. There was another show that's coming exclusively to that. The
Titans?
The live-action Titans. That looks really good.
Does that look really good?
Oh, I'm excited. I got to watch Robin stab a dude in the throat with the neck.
All right.
Or stab a dude in the neck with a knife. I can't speak English today.
That's okay. That's all right. We're only, we're recording a podcast. You don't need to speak English.
Yeah. But literally, I was so hyped. That was like Damian Wayne levels of Robin. I haven't seen Robin murder that bad since the animated movies that would come out every now and again.
All right, fair enough. You're excited for Titans. Ian and I talked about Titans last night. I'm sure we'll talk about it again with Isaac tomorrow. He's the big DC fan of the group.
Oh yeah.
So we were not a big fan of what we saw, but to each their own. Let me ask you real quick though. Young Justice Outsiders season 3. What did you think? Did this bring you back a bit?
Yeah, it really did. I am excited to see what they put into there, because the trailer put a lot of focus on the relationship between Kid Flash and Huntress.
Yeah.
Or whatever she calls herself now.
Whatever it is.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, go ahead.
But that was for anybody who follows Young Justice, that was one relationship in an entire show of relationships. That only got more interesting and convoluted. It was fun to watch, sort of, especially the season 2 arc, where they switched over from more, I think, conventional superheroing of go fight the bad guy once a week, to these more in-depth plot lines, which really hooked me in. We got to see superheroes go undercover and do espionage, which is always a fun twist on things.
So out of the first 2 seasons, which one? This is a common question for Young Justice. Which one did you prefer out of the 2 seasons?
I would have to say the second I preferred overall, but nothing's going to replace the feeling of watching the first season for the first time. So it's a show that's very near and dear to my heart.
I have to. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was a show that I really got into end of high school or early college. So it was really fun to get into that with people of my own age group.
I have to agree with how you feel, though. There is something magical about that first season and seeing it the first time, and I think that's why it resonates more with me and why I prefer season 1. But that being said, I enjoyed a lot of the aspects of season 2. The season 1 though of Young Justice was, really, they were hitting on all cylinders just the right way. It was a great season. Season 3, looking at this, anything stand out for you?
It looks like more of the same, to be honest with you. I'm excited to see the plot go forward. I'm excited to see more of the characters develop. I hope they don't do what the trailer seems to indicate and just focus down the entire season on just the relationship between the two of them.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping we get to see all of the characters, which can be difficult because there's a lot of them in Young Justice.
Yes, especially after season 2, there was a lot of characters.
Yes, there's a very expanded universe.
I would say too many, actually. I think that was one of the things that I didn't like about it. Although I appreciated what they were doing, I liked how tight the first season was with the cast and such.
Yeah.
I agree for the most part. I actually appreciated how this trailer, the first half of it, was basically a recap of a lot of the things that happened in season 2, because it has been a long time, and the refresher was good. I had forgotten much of that. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I don't know when I'm going to see it, because going into the second part of this DC Universe, this new streaming station, the price point's way too high for me.
Yeah, I had heard the price point kind of debated a little bit online. How much did they end up settling on? I never heard the final price.
So, from what I saw today, and these things can change, it breaks down to $7.99 a month, but you don't just pay by month. I think you have to pay annually, which comes out to something like $75, but you get 3 months free, which is kind of weird. But it breaks, $7.90. Let's even take that down to a monthly. $7.99 for, and again, the DC cartoons, for the last 30 years or so, are fantastic. There's so many of them, and they're great. They've done, as far as comic book hero cartoons, I think they've done it the best.
Without a doubt.
There's some outliers like the Spider-Man and the X-Men cartoons from the 90s, but then you've got Batman, the animated series from the 90s, and everything that spawned off of that. It's just been a much superior product. I'm sure they're going to have other things, like they're going to have the Titan TV show, and they'll probably have access to movies and such, considering that's all done through Warner Brothers, which owns DC. But $7.99 is just too much.
Yeah, as somebody who is shall we say, younger and less financially inclined, $7.99 is quite a bit.
Yeah, it's too much. I mean, when you're paying $9.99 for Netflix, and I mean, which a lot of this DC stuff has been on there. I don't know where it's going to stand now.
Yeah, I hope they're not going to start revoking stuff off of Netflix. Like
oh no, I'm sure they will. They're going to do that, and Disney's going to start taking a lot of their stuff away at the end of the year. But yeah, well, because Disney's starting their streaming station.
I know
So.
it's a giant pain in the ass because everybody's making a cash grab.
Right, yeah.
It's kind of weird to say this, but I miss the early days of Netflix where they were the only streaming service and they had everything.
They had a lot of stuff for sure. I mean, it was I don't disagree with you. This is too much. It's just like it's for me. It's like the CBS Access, the streaming station for CBS, and they put Star Trek Discovery on there all by itself. And I was like, no, you know what? No, it's too much. It's just it's too expensive. I'm not, and it's not that I can't afford it. I can't justify it.
See, and
to myself.
I hope that if they don't get the amount of subscribers that they're hoping for, they'll take the YouTube approach and offer like a certain amount of content for free with ads. Like maybe they'll paywall certain stuff, but I think the best way to get subscribers is to bring an audience in first and then show them a better option, which is what YouTube did with YouTube Red, which is something that when I had more flush cash was something I invested in.
Mm-hmm. When you okay.
When I wasn't poor.
When you weren't, that's all right. You're a college kid. It comes with the territory. Either you're poor or you're rich.
Yeah, and, there's no in between.
Right. I want to see it, and it's unfortunate. I would pay, but I don't want to pay this much. I like where the culture's going with this, because I mean, it wasn't too long ago where people were like, why would I pay for any entertainment at all? You have people, because there's ways to get it on the internet without it. So
not that we will condone or endorse that.
No. Well, I do every once in a while. But I will openly tell people sometimes not to pay for something, but it's few and far between. But no, you should. You should support these things financially. You should pay for your entertainment, and it's a shame because I do want to see this. I probably will wait until this comes out on a DVD, or if it comes out, maybe to pay for it all at once for a much cheaper price. I would pay 1 month. I would pay $7.99 once to be able to binge this, and then unsubscribe.
Sort of like the HBO thing, where they offer you, where you get like a deal on the first month, and they just assume you're going to binge through everything on the platform.
Well, and however though, I mean, but yeah, if I could just get 1 month, and
that's what I did with Game of Thrones. I bought HBO for 1 month, watched my way through that, and like This Week Tonight and a couple of other things. And in like 1 month, I watched my way through like 21 seasons of like different shows.
Yeah,
it was,
and that's the game, and that's how it's played. So, but yeah, too expensive for me. So sorry, DC Universe, not getting into it. But it looks good, and it looks like they captured things really well to look like more of the same, which is, I believe, what people want. All right, so next up, we had some teaser trailers going in here. There's been a lot of talk about it. Some pictures released a couple weeks ago. We finally got the trailer today for Glass.
Oh man, evil X-Men.
Evil.
I'm calling it now. All right.
Now,
evil X-Men.
Now, have you seen Unbreakable?
Have I seen Unbreakable?
With Bruce Willis. That's the first part of this. This is part of a trilogy.
Yeah. No, I've seen it.
Okay. Well, I mean, it came out a long time ago. You were actually kind of a toddler when it came out.
I was.
Yeah.
But they'd run it on TV networks that my parents owned every once in a while.
Yeah. No. What did you think of Unbreakable?
Unbreakable was okay. To be honest.
Man.
Yeah.
Just okay. Right. It was freaking awesome.
I don't know. Maybe maybe it was just like my teenage mind where everything was like, it's all right, but I don't remember it being all that standout.
All right.
Of course, that was also, in the age where, I thought that classic TV movies were boring because they were black and white.
All right.
What can I say? I had no class.
Well, no. I mean, it's fair enough, Jason. The movie bombed. It did not do very well. It has a cult following now. People look back at it now and they realize how great it was. Did you see Split?
I did. I did see Split.
I'm the only guy who hasn't seen Split.
Isaac and I went to go see Split together.
Yeah? So what do you think of Split?
I liked Split.
Right.
Especially, what was interesting to me, coming from a medical background, was how it is the closest to media representation of schizophrenia I've ever seen. It wasn't 100% purely accurate, but it was very close on multiple personality disorder or
schizophrenia.
Yeah, which the two can be very confusingly interlinked. Okay. But I'll not get into that. But it was the closest to reality that I've ever seen, and by leaps and bounds too. Like nothing else that I've ever seen compared to how well the movie directors did their research into the kind of mental diseases that you see amongst real people.
I can't wait to see this thing. I'm making a priority to see it here in the next week because I have not seen Split.
It's a solid thriller movie anyway, but it was, the level of enjoyability was upped for me because it was clear that it was a project done with a lot of effort and research going into it, which I always like. When things are closer to reality and I have to suspend my disbelief less, that always makes a product more enjoyable, I think.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. I mean, it grabs your attention and pulls you in.
Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, what do you think about them putting these guys together? What do you overall, what was your feelings on this trailer?
I am excited because, like, both of those movies were kind of like, okay, Split was very clearly, well, not very clearly, but like the character in it was definitely not meant to be the good guy. He was in a way the good guy, but mostly the bad guy. And for Unbreakable, he was sort of an anti-hero.
Sure, he was a reluctant hero and an anti-hero. And I thought I think the biggest thing about Unbreakable that they did really well was not just try to put you in this world, but try to convince the audience. Well, they're trying to convince David Dunn that he is the superhero, and I thought they did a really good job of that. So did you see the after credit scene from Split that included the guy from Unbreakable, Bruce Willis's character?
I did, but I didn't recognize the significance until much later.
Okay, so yeah, and that's what I heard. A lot of people didn't get it. Obviously, both done by M. Night Shyamalan.
M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong.
There it is. But I'm very much looking forward to this. It was great to see the trailer, and of course, obviously with Glass, and you've got Samuel L. Jackson playing Mr. Glass again, who is the catalyst for a lot of this.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see M. Night doing his thing because for a while there, his movies were sort of not great. Yeah. But it really seems like he sort of found his groove again, which makes me really excited because he's got some of the best classics,
Yeah, no, he's done a good job of making this hyper realistic world, with superheroes and stuff, and it's been a good thing. No, I understand. I'm with you. I went and saw The Happening in theaters, so I'm still a little jaded.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no,
I
was not happy. I was not a happy person.
I saw it for free on TV, and I still felt gypped out of my time.
Yeah, no, that can happen. It's kind of like How It Ends. Which did you catch our review of that from last week? Did you watch it?
But I caught the ending of it because I was crunched for time, and I just wanted to catch the highlights. So
you wanted to see how it ends.
Yes, pretty much.
What? Yeah, that's a joke, right?
Yeah.
Joke of the year. Yeah, Ian and I each gave it a 2.
Yeah, which was like, for movie reviews, that's harsh.
Yeah, it is. We railed on it pretty bad.
God, you guys went in on it.
We did. It's 30 minutes of beating the crap out of that freaking movie. um, okay, all right. So yeah, some of the highlights from today, but obviously you and I are here together tonight to talk about The Walking Dead.
Oh man!
All right, here we go. Season 4, Part B, the B part, second half of Fear the Walking Dead. We got a new trailer today. Jason, your first thoughts on that trailer?
Redemption seems to be the overarching theme here. Like everywhere throughout it, just the lines that the characters were saying. I'm not that person anymore, but you could be. Morgan's written on the mirror. I lose people, I lose myself. Just everything about that trailer screamed redemption. I think that's going to be the overarching theme we see in this season, is going to be people trying to redeem themselves from the sins of the past.
Yeah, you know who needs to redeem themselves? That little kid.
Oh, yeah.
That little kid. I'm sure you know, as soon as I saw her just standing there, it's like, oh, get out of here. Now, okay, so that's one of my questions for you, Jason. You see the part where she's staring down the walker?
Yeah.
Is that Walker Nick? Is it? I don't know. But, I think it could have been. Is that just a deteriorated Walker Nick?
But they put Nick down.
Oh, that's true. All right, never mind.
Unless it's a hallucination.
It might be that.
Yeah.
It might be that. But it seemed like it was dressed like Nick.
Yeah, I could see that. But they very clearly put Nick down. They did it on screen.
Yeah, they did. You're right. I'd forgotten about that. How awesome would it have been if Walker Nick would have came by and just ate her?
Okay, that's because you got a vendetta against this little girl.
I do. I do. I mean,
admittedly, I hope she bites the dust too. But I don't think that she was a terrible character. She was there to very clearly serve a purpose.
I think that as a character in a show, she, I don't have anything against the actress. I think that's fine. I just don't like what she's done. She's killed Nick.
Yeah.
We lost Nick and Madison last half.
I know.
Jeez.
Which, God, I really hope they pull it together this season. Fear is one of my favorite shows. Man, yeah. I am cautiously optimistic for the second half of Fear. We've got a strong cast of characters who I think can be pulled into leading roles if they write them correctly.
All right, I'm with you on that. I agree with you on that. Now, that being said, I'm not as optimistic about this trailer that I saw. I would say, I think I'm just cautious. Okay, so let me get this out of the way. I like the theme that they're doing here. Obviously, there's a huge storm that's coming through, and they're going to be dealing with a lot of the consequences that happen from the storm. But the moment where the walkers start flying in the air, not that I don't like that idea and that concept, but their execution of it was ridiculously bad.
Oh yeah, it looked like for a minute there I thought it was CG.
Well, it was just really bad CG.
I know. I was like, "Holy crap, that is bad CG."
It was really bad, and a lot of people have said that it took them right out of it.
Yeah, I've seen better CG in 80s movies.
But yeah, here, like you said, Morgan's are still around, and he's dealing with the fact that he's kind of entrenched in a group again, which is exactly what he didn't want.
Yep. Poor Morgan.
Yeah, he just wants to.
I say poor Morgan, but he keeps sticking his nose into other people's business. If he didn't want to be part of a group, he could leave at any time. Well, no, there is nothing stopping him from just walking off and leaving these people.
Well, I think that's kind of the whole thing, is that his feels stop him from doing it. Did you notice that at least for a couple scenes, he doesn't have his stick; he has a shovel.
He has a shovel. Yes. Yeah. Oh my God.
Where's his stick, though?
Okay, that's a good question that I didn't even think about. I just enjoyed Morgan had a shovel. I was watching it with my fiance while she was packing for our move, and I just yelled out, "Morgan's got a shovel!" and it scared her into dropping a box.
Dork. No, you have to shovel. It was funny when as soon as that chick pulls out the knife, boom.
Oh yeah, boop.
She's just like, okay, that sucked. Yeah, I don't have a lot to say here. We're gonna get an Allison heavy episode. They said that in the panel today. As a lot of that was said at the panel during Comic-Con as well, was about this half of the season is going to be very different from the last half, where last half was very much about chaos and dealing with destruction. They're saying that this one's going to be more about building up and rebuilding.
Speaking of rebuilding, Walking Dead season 9.
Oh, do you want to segue?
Sure.
No, that was too soon, sir.
Okay,
that's too soon. Good try, but it all looks very gray still. I mean, are we still doing that?
Yeah, that bothered me a little. I was hoping, because with this typhoon coming, there's a lot more chance for color. Yeah.
I mean, I lived in Texas for a year, and while I will agree it is the land of dirt, it is more colorful than this. Yeah.
Yeah, you could have at least had like a bad CG like lime green cactus flying around in the background or something. Yeah.
Color. We'll see. We'll see what happens here, but overall, I'm very cautious about this.
You know what it sort of reminded me of?
What's that?
All those old 90s shooters. You remember like the original Gears of War?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the color palette?
The color palette, right?
Okay.
Or the early 90s games like Resistance.
Sure.
That's another one. Just that sort of gray, brownish color palette. I don't know why, but that's what popped into my head for this season.
Sure.
Just like that color palette was like, oh.
Sure. What do you think about a character being in a wheelchair? What do you think of that?
Oh, that's interesting.
That is interesting.
The other thing that was interesting was the sign language.
That's in The Walking Dead.
Oh, no, wait, that's season 9. Never mind.
That's season 9. That's all right. We'll get to that.
I'm getting my trailers confused. I'm sorry.
That's all right. They both came out today. I get it. But here's the thing, and I don't want anyone to get me wrong. I have absolutely no problem with the fact that there's somebody in a wheelchair. In general, I have a problem with about 2.5 to 3 years into a zombie apocalypse that somebody who's in a wheelchair, if they were in a wheelchair pre-apocalypse, is still alive.
Well, here's the thing. I think it's very possible, assuming that they have a good and very loyal group, or even just a single person looking out for them.
But it looks like it's maybe just 1 or 2 people.
Yeah, but it's theoretically possible, I think, as long as you avoid areas, you're very careful, and those people are ridiculously dedicated to getting the guy in the wheelchair out alive. It's like a real-life escort mission.
I agree. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I mean, it's like, I think it's possible. It's unlikely, assuming that the people with him aren't, like, family or, like very close friends or something.
Yeah, I might be jumping the gun on it. I was a little taken back by that. I'm like, really?
Maybe he's tricked out the wheelchair. Night of the Living, or not Night of the Living Dead. Now I'm blanking on the movie title. God, my brain is fried today.
That's all right.
We were just talking about doing a review for this movie.
What, Dawn of the Dead?
Dawn of the Dead. You remember the bus?
Oh, you think he's freaked up like the bus?
Yeah, he's tricked out like the bus with the spinny spikes, and maybe he's got like rocket NOS boosters underneath the wheelchair.
Excuse me. I could be jumping on the gun on this. I thought it was a little weird though. I thought it was a little fakey. But yeah, I think you're right. You changed my mind on that. Well, let's see what they do. They've definitely been creative in the past.
Which could be for some interesting drama. I mean, imagine you've spent the last 2 or 3 years dragging this dead weight person around, keeping them alive out of some like familial obligation. I barely like interacting with some of my family members now, and that's not even including the zombie apocalypse.
So what you're saying is that zombie apocalypse happens, half, if not most, if not all of your family, see ya. Too bad.
Depends on what you got me for my last birthday.
There it is. That's why you got to be careful with the birthday gifts.
Oh yeah, especially for college students, man. We'll eat anything. I start looking at my little cousin like, beef jerky, bro. I'm gonna go Terminus on you.
You don't need to turn into a zombie. Wow, you'll just eat them anyways.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Go Dahmer party.
All right. Now is a good time to move on. All right. So with that, so overall, you're cautiously optimistic for the second half of the season.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I hope that the scathing reviews that came out from pretty much everybody about the last season were well heard and received by the writers and the directors.
Yeah.
I mean, they had an entire panel there to shout at them, so I hope somebody did something.
All right. The Walking Dead Season 9 trailer came out. Long awaited, much anticipated. Lots of news that has happened since the season ended in May. I think it was the end of April or May. I think it was the end of April this year. But we got our first look coming back in early October. Jason, your overall view and opinion of the Season 9 trailer?
I am not cautiously optimistic of the Season 9 trailer.
You're not?
No.
What are you?
I'm just cautious. How you feel towards Fear, that's how I feel towards the 9th season.
Okay. All right.
And I'm going to jump straight into this.
Jump in.
The loss of Andrew Lincoln, I think, will leave a huge void.
Yes.
Especially considering it is readily apparent through the trailer and the comments from Andrew Lincoln himself that if Miss Angela is not the same caliber of actor as Mr. Lincoln has been, I think the show will suffer.
Who's Angela?
She's the lady who's, at least from the trailer, you remember her. She's the lady who is like, you said I wasn't the kind of person to lead before. I am now.
Maggie, Lauren Cohen.
Yeah,
okay. Okay. Or Angela, I guess.
Isn't that the actress's name, Angela?
No, Lauren Cohen.
Lauren Cohen. God, I'm just all over the place today.
AKA Angela.
No,
I don't know. I don't mean to derail your point.
Yeah, if Maggie doesn't step up in a big way, like I like Maggie, I like her character, but for her to take over the position of Rick Grimes that's big shoes to fill.
But she's not gonna, and we talked about this as well. She's leaving the show too.
She's leaving the show too?
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that.
They both have limited contracts this year.
Oh.
Now they both, I believe, they're both six episode contracts. Although that doesn't, they're not stringent on that. But yeah, she's leaving too, dude.
Dude, then what was the point of that conversation in the trailer?
That's a good question.
My God, I was going in fully assuming she was going to be the one to step up. Most of my opinions were based on that.
Well, and just to make sure, I spent probably too much time today trying to find out if there was anything new that had happened with the contract, because that's a heavy thing to lead on. The last thing I found came in last month, early June, and there was nothing new. They were reporting the same thing that had already been heard about Lauren Cohen's contract, which is that she basically has a very similar contract to Andrew Lincoln's, a 6-show deal, and she has said that she is done with the season 2. Now, could things change? Yes, they absolutely could have. But yeah, Rick and Maggie are leaving. They're both leaving.
God, that's a huge vacuum in the cast.
Well, and it's openly been said that Andrew, that Norman Reedus has been given a significant raise, and he's going to be the main. He's going to be the main character of the show now, Daryl.
Well, again, I'm losing Rick Grimes is a huge blow for me.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, we're committed to the show, but I mean, he's my character. You lost your character last season.
I did.
Yeah.
I lost Carl.
Coral.
Oh man, I love Coral.
No.
I have no idea what the kid's done since then, but man, I love that kid.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll see him in other stuff. He's a good actor.
Yeah, he is. He's a fantastic
What
actor.
do you think about the new look here for Rick?
Oh, yeah. You and I have agreed that we think it's going to be a time jump.
There is no. They even said in the panel there is. There is a time jump. They are following the comic in this. We're going ahead a couple years.
Okay, so that makes it interesting. Yeah. So do you think we're going to see another sort of Civil War-ish sort of conflict? Because that seemed to be what the trailer was indicating, is that now with the Saviors gone, here's what I'm going to theorize. With the Saviors gone, some sort of the remnants of the Saviors are coming up to cause trouble, which is why we see stuff like the Savior Save Us painted on the wall. And internal conflicts in between these towns or communities is going to start leading up to another major. I won't say war yet, but it's definitely leading up to a major conflict.
There's definitely something going on. So something I need to correct you on. The Saviors aren't gone.
No?
No, they're still around. They are a community.
Okay.
Interesting point, though. Because at one point you see a bunch of posts nailed into a tree with arrows pointing over to the sanctuary, pointing over to Oceanside. There's one missing, and there's one I've never heard of before. The Kingdom's not on there.
Yeah, but we do see people from the Kingdom.
We do, and I'm wondering if. And in the comic, the Kingdom's still around, but it got wiped out pretty bad in the show. So I'm wondering if they didn't just join other aspects or other towns. But there's a town on there that I've never heard of before. There's a town called Toledo.
Yeah.
And I don't know who that is.
Do you think it's the Chopper people?
No. But I think they will make their presence seen and heard. And the Chopper people completely new. They're not in the comic as well.
Yeah, speaking of which, we saw the Chopper of the Chopper people.
We saw Jadis, we saw the Chopper again, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But I don't think you're wrong at all. And they did this in the comic as well. Whereas they came after a couple years, they've established a large community in a interconnected. Several towns who work together, and I'm not going to go into all the details of that because a lot of it's pretty cool and you need to see it and not hear it from me. But there is trouble. There is resentment from the war, and things are not all hunky-dory, especially with the Saviors. And,
I expect not. We only need to look to history to know that people don't like being beaten and having their friends killed.
Well, yeah, but, Negan is in prison.
Oh, yeah.
And as you see that, and Rick is, he's having conversations with him, which is...
Although it's been a while.
It apparently has, but it's been a long while for everything. You're coming back into this. Maggie's not pregnant anymore. Not that, most people forgot that she even ever was pregnant. But she's now had the kid.
Yeah.
She has, I believe, if they follow the comic, baby Herschel. So
what do you think now that Mr. Grimes is going to be gone? What do you think is going to happen to his daughter?
Well, this has been at some point I'm gonna nail this down like we did for the first half of Fear, and we're gonna get some we're gonna get some guessing in here, and we're gonna we're gonna put it down what we think happened. And there's two of them. There's Rick and what's his kid's name? Judith. There's Rick and Judith, but now there's Maggie and her kid.
Yeah.
And they're both leaving. And I think one of them's going to get killed, and I think the other one's not. And I think what's going to happen, and again, none of this has happened in the comic either.
You think Negan's going to take Rick's kid on as the Dark Apprentice? Ooh, I like that. I'm calling that now.
Okay, that was all you. I didn't say a single bit of that. So
yeah, all right, that's on me. All right,
if that's all you.
Takes on Rick's kid as the Dark Apprentice.
I think Judith is going to end up staying with Michonne. I think Rick is going to get killed, and I think Maggie's going to leave.
Gotcha. You think she's going to take her kid and run?
I think she's going to take her kid and get on the helicopter.
Okay.
And we'll see Maggie again at the end of the series. And whenever they reach wherever the hell this chopper comes from and all that. I think the series is going to end with them going to wherever this chopper's from, both shows. And wherever they go, they combined and they go to wherever this chopper is from, and that's the whole thing in a conflict or whatever. And I think that's how they're both going to end. The long view on that. I base that on nothing other than what I've seen from the show. None of that is comic book related. So that's my overall opinion. Now, as to which one is which, like I said, I think Rick's going to get killed.
Yeah,
it's going to be a big deal. They're going to use it as a plot point to make, to put over the new threat, which you saw at the end. Did you hear it though?
Did I hear it?
Did you hear it?
I did.
At the very end, you got the two new characters. They're introducing a lot of new characters, but you had two new characters. They slide down that hill. They cover themselves in dirt. Did you not hear the walker?
Did the walker say something?
The walker did say something, Jason.
Oh my god, okay, I thought I was crazy.
Okay, so you did hear it. You heard the walker say, "Where are they?"
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, so I'm not going to get into this too much. You know, if you look at this stuff online at all, you've been hearing people talk about this. They are introducing the Whisperers in this season. And in fact, they've even casted the leader of the group, which is Alpha. They announced that today at the panel. She's one of many new characters that we're getting. Yeah, man, I don't want to really say much more. But I know
Whisperers?
I've alluded to the Whisperers on a couple of occasions, but
you have.
This is the next big threat coming, and
tell me these aren't people who talk to zombies.
No.
No? Mm-mm. So that zombie did talk, like other people could hear it?
Well, to be more specific, somebody in the group of walkers talked.
Okay, now I'm just confused.
That wasn't more specific at all, was it? I guess it was in relation to what we were saying. So I guess, all right, I'll go into it a little bit. We're getting into some spoiler territory, but the Whisperers are people who have decided that the best way to survive in this world is to actually wear the flesh of the dead and roam with the walkers.
What?
They have a whole different culture, but that's how they survive. And from time to time, they pull away from the group, but for the most part, their existence is walking and talking among themselves in herds.
You're blowing my mind here, man.
Well, Robert Kirkman's blowing your mind. He wrote this a few years ago. I'm just telling you what happened.
It's weird as hell.
So, but I remember when they first did that in the comic, and the first time they showed a talking bubble coming out of a herd, and I'm like, what the fuck? And so I'm glad to see that you, having never read that and not knowing about that, has had the same reaction. I'm glad they got that across.
Dude, like, I will be honest there, when you said that the walker was talking, I'm like, are we going with sentient zombie commanders? Alright, have the Walking Dead turned into the White Walkers from Game of Thrones? Goodness.
Well, and they've teased this in the past with the show. Back in season 4, they're talking about, they alluded to possibly a new kind of walker that, had diseases and such. Which is when it had, a lot of people were dying from that really nasty flu.
Yeah. And
they had alluded to maybe a different type. They were kind of toying with it, which actually ended up not being the case.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah. So we're getting the Whispers. That's the next big thing. And with some of the pieces missing in the show that were critical to the storyline in the comic, I'm really intrigued to see how they're going to play this out. You got nothing?
No, I mean, dude, you're talking about stuff that I have no clue on. I have no idea how to comment on that. That was cryptic as hell. Well, stuff that's missing from the story, I'm real interested to see how this plays out. I have no idea how to respond to that.
All right. What did you think of the new group of characters that we're getting? And I think they're going to do what they did in the comic, whereas once they got into the next issue, and we've had this time jump. They started showing what the world has become through the eyes of this new group that joined, and they kind of showed that off near the end of this trailer. That there's go ahead.
I'm holding off judgment until I see more of them, because I don't feel like there's enough there, and they didn't really say much.
No, they didn't tell you much. They just
they didn't.
They were just kind of like, here's more people.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold off judgment until we know a little bit, or until I know a little bit more about these characters.
Sure. All right. Let's see. What else? What else is there? I mean, there's a lot from this, but a lot of fighting between the communities.
Yeah.
Let's see. You gotta look at Father Gabriel. Looks like he got one eye back, but the other one looks like it totally went.
Yup. The deaf person with the sign language.
Yep.
Right. That's interesting to me.
That is very interesting, and also, and again, not that I don't think it's possible, although the odds of someone who is deaf is definitely a lot greater than someone who can't walk. But
see, I think it's the opposite.
You think the fact that they can't hear?
Yeah.
What good is being able to hear a herd coming if you can't do anything about it?
Well, I mean, you can hear a herd coming, and we know that there are ways to hide from the walkers, right? Mm-hmm. Covering yourself and stuff, that's still something somebody in a wheelchair could do. Even if they can't walk, they can crawl. But being totally unaware, especially at night, to walker attacks, surprise attacks that we have seen time and time and again in the show, that's a way more dangerous threat. Not being able to know that the danger's all around you and you just walk out in the middle of the night and get jumped. Oh, not being able to hear is way dangerous. Even for walkers and survivors, too. Not knowing you're walking into a firefight area full of gunshots that walkers will be coming towards. There's a multitude of more dangers for a deaf person.
You know, and again, I need to take back what I said more and more when I was talking about the wheelchair person from Fear. I'm actually getting a very different vibe from this. I'm actually really liking that they're bringing people who are a bit more codependent, and how... And I think we're going to get some really interesting stories as to how these people have made it this far. Because now, in The Walking Dead, we're 5 years in.
Yeah.
It's not 2.5 years anymore. It's at least 5 years. And one of the things, and they've been talking about this, and I'm sure you noticed it, things are more primal now. Things are almost like a Western at this point. The only running vehicle you saw was Daryl's bike.
Yep. You know, as it's very indicative of how I think any sort of majorly affecting apocalypse would happen. You know, the resources are plentiful to scavenge at the beginning, but over time, 5 years out, there's no more gas to scavenge out of pumps or people's cars. It's all been siphoned.
And now I say that, I have to take it back. There's actually another one you see that helicopter briefly.
Oh yeah, the chopper.
Yeah, you see the chopper. But besides that.
You know, at this point, food in the grocery stores that you would have scavenged is all spoiled. Right. Nothing lasts for 5 years except for Twinkies.
Well, and even medications at this point, most of them aren't any good anymore.
Let me tell you, most of the good meds run out within a couple of months. Morphine is like 6 months, depending on the brand. If you're talking like antibiotics, depending on how it's stored, some medications have to be refrigerated to be good over longer than a couple of days or a couple of hours.
Diabetics are having a big problem.
Oh, absolutely. Diabetics without their insulin, oh my God, they're probably running. Honestly, there wouldn't be any diabetics alive after if their medication runs out. They'll go into diabetic ketoacidosis and probably pass away within a couple of days of DKA, maybe weeks, depending on how they eat, how fast the symptoms progress, how they're being treated. But yeah, no, I imagine diabetics would not last super long in an apocalypse, because finding insulin is going to be hard, and 5 years out, damn near impossible.
Right. They do show some scenes and I'd heard that there's going to be some scenes that happen right in Washington D.C., which they are very close to, and I believe that's what you're seeing with them trying to take that old school wagon.
Yeah,
I think they're taking that out of some kind of museum or something.
Okay, now that makes me excited, right? One of my favorite things seeing in like a zombie apocalypse is people scavenge stuff from museums. I don't know why, but that's one of my favorite things. As like, you know, Mostly because I imagine, like, in a zombie apocalypse, after the terrifying fear goes away, the first thing you would want to do is like bust into the museum and take the medieval armor and run around beheading zombies with a halberd, right? That's just fun.
That's I did that last weekend. You're right, it is fun. So let me ask you, because I told you how I think it's going to happen. So Rick and Maggie both leaving the show. How do you think that's going to go down?
I don't think it's going to go well, to be honest.
Nope.
Okay. We've got some solid people, but I don't think, like I said, maybe Daryl, maybe Carol. Like a couple of the old school actors that we know have stood up well. But it's hard for me to imagine anybody taking Rick Grimes' place. He has been the guy. When you think Walking Dead, you think Rick Grimes.
I don't disagree, but you're going to make me cry again. What I mean is, how do you think they're going to get these people out?
Rick Grimes is going to go down in either one of two ways. He's either going to go down, because it seems like they're trying to repaint him as a different Rick Grimes,
Well, and he is, and at this point in the comic, he is as well, too. He's definitely, he's older, and you can see he's got a lot more gray hair, even though that gray was winning that war for years in the show. But, he is a different person now.
I think he's going to end up either getting, Archduke Ferdinand for this.
What do you mean?
Well, yeah, he's going to end up being the linchpin for the major conflict between these cities, because it sounds like he's the one keeping at least a good chunk of them together. He was talking about that guy. He's like, "Thank you so much for this, Rick." I think we're going to see that he's the one sort of holding them together. Once he takes the proverbial axe, things are going to fall apart very quickly. So I think either A, he's going to end up getting assassinated, and that's what's going to set this off, or B, and here's what I hope, he goes down in a hail of bullets like a badass.
You want him to go all action movie on it?
I do. Slow motion, oh man, have you ever played Red Dead Redemption?
I have not, but I know what it is.
Okay, so how John Marston dies at the end of Red Dead Redemption, that's how I want Rick Grimes to go out, with unlimited numbers, just unloading rounds into every poor sucker until he's filled with holes to the point where he's Swiss cheese.
All right, there it is, Swiss cheese Rick. What about Maggie? How do you think Maggie goes?
I think Maggie disappears. She's
okay.
She, like you said, I think she'll leave with the kid.
You think she just goes by Felicia?
Yeah, she probably after Rick dies, she's like, "Oh, time to get the fuck out of Dodge, right? Shit's going down. Maggie's got a kid, all right? Ain't nobody got time for that. She's getting the hell out of Dodge and taking the child with her." She'll probably try to convince some other people to leave with her because it's Maggie. She'll be like, "Why stay here and fight another war? You could come with me. We'll move somewhere where there is no war."
All right. That's great. So let's we'll see, and we're not gonna nail this down yet. We'll have a conversation about it at the premiere season 9, and we'll nail down like we did in season 4 at the beginning of season 4, Fear, what we think is going to happen, who we think is going to die, and how they're going to die. We know these two will not exist after this season, so it's obviously the big topic of how are they going to go out. But yeah. All right, so you think she's just gonna leave? She's gonna go back to the farm.
God, I hope so. I hope whenever this is all over, we just get an after credit sequence. When the series is done, we get an after credit sequence of Maggie back at the farm, just tending to corn or wheat or something.
That is one of the things I always thought about. Well, and it's kind of interesting. Because the season 2 premiere that we never got actually has them go back to from the location they were at with the senior home and all the guys taking care of the seniors in season 1. You remember that?
Yeah.
They go back there in season 2 in the premiere. You never got this. They shot most of that episode and then they just ditched it all. They actually go back to it. The place has been overrun. But they don't do that too much. I would love to see what the state of the prison is now, what the state of the farm is. Did other people move in? Is it still just completely covered in walkers, or did a herd take them all out?
Yeah.
What's Woodbury like now? I mean, he burnt down a lot of it, but what happened?
Yeah.
I would love to see that. All right, interesting stuff. So I think that's going to do it for us for tonight. So, all right. Any last words on any of the topics from tonight, Jason?
Yeah. Super excited for all of them. Don't pirate your TV shows unless Chris recommends it.
Oh my god, don't put that on me, motherfucker. just don't do it, people. Even if I recommend it, even if I go on a rant, no, you should pay for your entertainment. There's a lot of people whose jobs depend on it. Nice, Jason. All right. Well, I shouldn't have even given you the chance to say anything else. So with that, we are going to end our coverage of the San Diego Comic-Con, which is obviously Walking Dead heavy. We're going to end it here. Tomorrow, like I said, we will be looking at everything that we didn't cover today. We'll be covering it tomorrow. We'll be looking at everything that comes out tomorrow in a huge review show for Saturday with myself, Ian, and Isaac. But that's going to do for now. So let us know what do you think about what we saw with Fear and The Walking Dead today, with The Glass and Young Justice. Leave a comment below if you like the recap, if you liked our review. Go ahead and like and subscribe, please. But yeah, that's going to do it for now.
Yeah, don't forget to tell us if you would pay for DC's new streaming service.
Yeah, no, actually, that's a hot topic. I mean, not just obviously between what we were saying, but in general, a lot of people have been looking at that and raising an eyebrow to an interesting concept with a price tag that people just aren't liking. Yeah, let us know what you think of that as well. Oh, real quick before we go, quick reaction: Overlord.
Oh, I'm excited. All right,
looks great.
Nazi zombies. Except not in a Call of Duty game. I'm on board.
The Nazi zombies. There are some great Nazi zombie movies out there, actually. But yeah, it looks like a lot of fun. Jason and I will be reviewing that. We got a trailer for that just the other day. We'll be doing a review for that when it comes out in November. All right. Okay, that's gonna do it. We will see you tomorrow.
Peace out.
Hey people, thank you for tuning into this episode and taking a listen. If you like our content, if you like what you're listening to, there anything we go over, hey, please, we would not only love to hear more from you, but it's great if you could throw some support. You can subscribe right below. Also, you can toss us a line anytime. That's ksawmedia@gmail.com. Of course, you can tune in for our channel anytime for movie reviews, game reviews, a lot of random wacky stuff. Who knows what you'll hear. And of course, our episode each week where we're bringing the nerdiest things we can find, dig up, and maybe not find. Maybe the stuff that just drops in our laps. But anyway, hey, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening. We hope to hear from you again later. Take care.